Hello crafty friends, this is the Papered Chef here. In today's video tutorial, you're going to learn how to make these very simple thank you cards, thinking of you cards, and maybe some other cards. And they will all be featuring the Thinking, Thanks, and Peace stamp set by Stampin' Up. This stamp set will be available August 3rd as part of our August to December mini catalog. And I'm going to be featuring new designer series paper that's also coming out August 3rd. The reason I didn't mount these yet is I just want to talk about the importance of coordinating your colors and your designer series paper. See how this is a Misty Moonlight background. This is a Calypso Coral background. This one I did mount. This is a Bumblebee background. These are just a few of the coordinating colors and a crumb cake background. And you can just, once you do your matting and layering, like I'll show you for this card, you can just simply put it on any background that's in the coordinating color group and it will look good. So it doesn't matter what you do. So I don't need to mount these yet. I just need to make a bunch of the fronts of the cards. And then I can decide where to mount those later. But I'll be talking more about that later. Again, the same goes with the Thinking of You. I used Misty Moonlight and Bumblebee, two coordinating colors. And I didn't mount it onto the Bumblebee yet because I'm not sure. I may mount it onto another card from that series. So this is one that has a little bit extra layering here, this Thinking of You card. This one is, I didn't do any bling on this one because this is a simple stamping challenge. Every month, Stampin' Up! Has a simple stamping challenge. And the challenge this month was making a Thinking of You card with just ink, that's your Misty Moonlight, paper, right? And designer series paper, and that's it. So this is a simple stamping card. As soon as you start putting bling on it, like this, if I didn't put any bling, it would just be simple stamping. And when you add bling, of course, it steps it up. We'll be talking about that. Let me move that out of the way. Stick around till the end of this video because you're going to get to see other things that you can create with this stamp set, and maybe we'll even get time to do that. I'm going to show you sending thanks cards right now, but I did do Peace on Earth cards, and I even did a Halloween card with the boo. So I used every stamp in this set so far. I absolutely love the set. It's very large. But when I took it out of the case, one thing I noticed, see, I took this stamp out, and I was like, oh, this isn't the way I would orient these stamps. Let me show you what I mean. So here's the card base, and I looked at it and said, I would have to orient it this way. It's so huge. The stamp is so huge because it goes that way. But I said, I'm going to cut that apart. So what I did, and I already have these mounted, is I cut this piece of wheat off of the Sending Thanks with my scissors. You have to use really fine scissors to do that because if you cut your stamps apart, oh, that's the boo, then you're going to end up, here, let's see where it is. You have to get in there with fine scissors to cut them apart. I did that for a couple of reasons. One is I like to make vertical cards, as you see here. We're making this kind of card. And it wouldn't fit if I had the whole stamp mounted across. And two, I wouldn't use the same color to write thanks as I would to stamp this. So I'm using Bumblebee to stamp this. So that's why and instead of using markers to color it in, it's easier if you mount them separately to color them. So if you see this stamp that way, that's why I did it. So now the first thing you're going to do is just get out some basic white cardstock. And I've already cut some of those, but we'll see if they're in this pile. Here we go. Let's have these to look at, and we can talk about some different options. We're going to look at those while we're doing this. Fun stuff. Here we go. So what we want to do is use your little stamping mat, a silicone mat, and this is just a piece of scrap paper. And you're going to put your silicone mat down. Let me tilt my camera a little bit because it's doing what's called a drooping. I had to set up my system again after it was all packed away, but that's another story. Okay, let's see. So it's kind of drooping, my camera stand. Let's move this over here and this over here. We'll put that so you can really see it. So we got our silicone mat, we got our pieces, we got our card bases, and what I want to do is stamp somewhere in the middle, right? We're going to put that down. I've tried this different ways, and I'm also going to show you how I would do the 1-inch strips too. But first we'll do it in the middle a couple times, and then we'll do 1-inch strips, and I'll show you how that can help you layer some spaces between. So next I want to get my Misty Moonlight, which is one of the coordinating colors in the Harvest Meadow designer series paper. So I'm going to open up my Misty Moonlight. Put that right here, trying not to get, here we'll stand up my card. I'm going to just stand that up over there so you have something to look at. And I'm going to go ahead and ink up my stamp. Trying not to get ink on my other cards. Okay, so we're going to, this is a stamping block H. These are very large stamps, and you could use your stamparatus as well. What I like to do after I ink up my stamp for the first time after I've washed it is just use my piece of scrap paper to make sure that there's nothing under there, that it's stamping pretty good, which it is. And then I'll put it on my basic white cardstock. Okay, we're going to put that somewhere in the middle. And then it's gonna stick, and that's okay, and just tap it off. Okay, so that's how simple it is to put the sentiment on there. And it came out beautifully. So we'll put that off to the side, we'll use that piece. And now I want to show you that we can just take 1-inch strips. So now I'm gonna put this toward the bottom. Okay, we're gonna cut this one. So the reason you do it toward the bottom is just to try to make it straight. We can even do one toward the top. Okay, perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. I'm going to put one at the top. So always cut these first. These are 4 inches by 5 1/4. So always cut your pieces, and then you can do so many other things with them. So what I'm doing for this one, just so you know, the reason I'm stamping is now I'm going to cut those. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. And I'm going to put that stamp over there. So what I'm going to close, I'm going to take my trimmer, and what I want is for those, I want 1-inch strips. This is what I'm going for. This kind of look where we can do this one with designer series paper. We can do both with designer series paper, but when you have the 1-inch strip, then you can layer your little pieces of your Harvest Meadow, and you get this look here, which I like better than this look here, where you just have one piece of basic white. See? So you're going to see how to do both. Okay, now let's go ahead and put this up. So we have our paper trimmer. And we're just going to trim off 1 inch. Okay. So, and it might have to be a little more than 1 inch. Yep, it does have to be, or it can be a little more than 1 inch this way. Then because I don't want to cut off the G, right? That's why we try to go, and then we can try to make it 1 inch. You can turn it around. So one little trick, and my paper trimmer is getting a little dull, I can see, is to use painter's tape. Okay, when you have just a tiny little bit of paper to trim off, you can use painter's tape. Oops, I did cut off a little bit of the... Okay, let's try this one. Because I was able to do this in 1-inch strips yesterday. So let's see. I'm going to trim it as much as I can. And now I'm going to turn it around. This is why I stamp extra in 1 inch. Hopefully I don't cut any off this time. If I do, it can be a little slightly above 1 inch, but not too much more because you need... Okay, perfect, perfect. So it fits in a 1-inch rectangle. Okay, so see, it fits in a 1-inch rectangle. It will really fit. In fact, if you want to get your rectangles ahead of time and stamp them later, that's fine too. But I found it was easier after doing so many crooked stamps. I found it was easier just to make the rectangle that way. So now, okay, my light is drooping again. Okay, so now we're going to just assemble the card, and you're going to see how simple it is to assemble this card, both cards. So we want to take our trimmer again. We're going to take our Harvest Meadow paper, and we can do a little bit of we'll do a little bit of wheat and grain on that one. But first, let's just get our Harvest Meadow. This is, by the way, this month, this isn't one of the ones on sale. This isn't available yet. This Harvest Meadow is going to be available August 3rd. But this month, in our annual catalog, we do have a big designer series paper sale. So this isn't one of them, but still, everything I'm showing you can be done with paper that's on sale. So let's just go ahead and show you the Harvest Meadow. See if I have all 6 sheets here. Okay, here it is. Calypso Coral, you can see there's the Calypso Coral, the Bumblebee, Misty Moonlight, Crumb Cake, And there was another one. What was the green? Maybe this is Mint Macron. Mint Macron is one. So these are great fall colors. I'm sure there's another piece here. I think there's another piece. This must be the piece. I don't have a whole piece of that left because I was using it on everything. So that's the other piece. So we're going to take it. Oh, wait, here it is. Here it is. Oh, I do have all 6 pieces, but we're going to go ahead and cut them apart. So that's what designer series paper is for. So if you have a piece like this, you want to pay attention. It's script font that you definitely want to cut it the right way. So we're going to cut these 4 inches across. And of course, that one is going to be the right direction. But otherwise, you're going to have the script font going sideways. So we just want 1-inch pieces by, I'm going to do a couple at once, but I'm just giving you, I just want to show you because that pattern mattered. That pattern mattered. Okay, so we'll go ahead and this time we'll do a couple pieces at once. So see how this piece is going to matter which way it goes. I want to make sure that I'm really, okay, these ones were not quite an inch, let's say. Just making sure I have the right, I'm making sure that this just looks bigger than it's supposed to look. Yes, okay. It does look bigger because it was 1 1/4 inches. That's why it looks bigger, because I was like, these don't look like the other. One of these things is not like the other. One of these things just doesn't belong. Okay, so there. So this is 1 inch. So now we have a piece like that. I really like this piece, and we'll go find some other cool patterns. We'll just go ahead and use new pieces, because I've already shown you the paper. And this is what I plan on making a bunch more of these, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut it up. These are all good designs for patterns. These 2 are really good. So we're going to go 4 inches across. 4 inches across. Okay, and okay, let's see. And 1 inch. Okay. So, and by the way, just go ahead and do a lot of these at once. Right, do not just 2 pieces here, so you can see the 1 inch. So I'm sorry that was cut off a little bit. Okay, so we see how we have all these extra pieces. Both sides you can use for all kinds of fun stuff. So we have that. Now let's get a piece. Let's see. This one's nice. This one's not so much. This one's more of a background. This one, I think it looks like coral too. I don't think I'd waste it on these little strips. It just isn't the right kind of, but this one's awesome. This one's great for those little strips for your cards. And this one too, because they're great patterns. So let's go ahead and make a couple of those. And then we'll have options, right? We'll have some more options. So we're going to go 4 inches across, because that's the way the pattern flows. So you want to do the pattern first. Check out your pattern. And then we want to do 1 inch pieces. I could have prepared all these ahead of time, which I've been doing, but you know what? I wanted you to really see how you can use any of your designer series paper and do what I'm showing you. And then you could follow along with whichever materials you have. If you're a demonstrator, you would have been able to get this paper way ahead of time anyway. So here we are. Now we have all these options, right? All these fun options on how to decorate the card. So let's start with, let's take my pile. Okay, this one is going to go like that. I'm looking for the piece of just cardstock I saved earlier. Okay, so you want to use, so what you want to do is take, so this is a piece of Calypso Coral. This is a piece of Bumblebee. So you're going to take your 1 inch piece, okay, and you just kind of lay it there for a moment. That was not the one. This is the one that came out perfect. Okay, see what I'm doing? That's going to go across. Leave it there. Don't mount it yet. This is important. You want the gaps to be correct. You want the gaps between the card to be correct. So you want the gaps to be even. And in order for these gaps to be even, you want to start with the bottom. I just like starting with this one at the bottom, making sure the pattern faces up. See? Because if you start with the bottom and then the top and work your way toward the middle, then everything's going to even out. If you try to start with the middle, you'll never get the same gaps between. Okay, so you're going to use your Stampin' Up! Adhesive seal. Just put a line across, very easy. This whole thing's going to be mounted onto another card, so go ahead and put that on the bottom. And then double check that here. Let's see. Double check by looking at the back of it that it's not coming off, right? So that it's very even. And it is. And if it's not even, just get your little scissors and sort of trim the edges off. So now we're going to take the top. So you don't want to use this piece on this paper. This is Bumblebee on Bumblebee, no contrast there. You can't even see it. So don't even take that, don't even use that piece. You have all these other options, but here, let's put a piece of Misty Moonlight up there because I think that'll help frame it in. And you can just you can put your pattern there and see if you want to put that there or there. Right? It'll help frame it in because this is Misty Moonlight. And then this piece looks great no matter what paper. This one always looks good. So maybe something like this, right? Or you could frame these Misty Moonlights and put something like this. But then these two are too similar, so maybe you don't want them right next to each other. So let's go with something like that. So that's just your layout. Now let's put the little tiny gap between them. Now we can put the little tiny gap between the layers. Okay, and then we're going to leave that there as a guide, and we're going to put the other one on top. See how it's coming together in these little spaces? And we're just putting the Seal Plus there. Again, make sure this one's at the top, touching the top. And now everything lines up evenly. And okay, again, we're doing that part last because that part doesn't matter as much. You can even put the adhesive right on the paper. You could put the adhesive on the back of here or right on the paper. Little gap. And now we have this perfect little piece that we can put see, there's an equal amount of space between this one, and then this one you do last. And now we're going to mount this whole thing onto another card, and we have our simple sorry, I was turning off my other phone, making noises in the background there. Okay, so we have this simple card. Now we're going to take this whole piece and we're going to see how we want to mount it. So we could mount it. It's a piece of Bumblebee. Oh, no, this is already the card base. We want to mount it on. We don't want to mount it on the same color. Well, you could, right? Or you could mount it onto a different color. Well, that would look nice too. But I think maybe this one will look even better. I'm thinking this one. Because the reason why is because, look, it'll contrast on the edges. So you see what I mean? You have coordinating colors. I'll even show you how crumb cake would look. So here's crumb cake I used for something else. Look, you can mount this on a crumb cake and that would look fine, right? Because it's contrasted. You can mount it on Misty Moonlight, but then you don't have as much contrast. There's Misty Moonlight there and there. You can mount it on the Bumblebee, but we just used a card base of Bumblebee. So, that would look fine though. It actually looked nice and it looks like a mystery. Ooh, how'd you get the paper so even? Because it actually kind of looks mysterious. Like, how'd you do that? Well, but I think in the end, it would be this one would be the best choice, the Calypso Coral, because you have all kinds of contrast going on. This one is not on the edge of the same color. So that's what I would do. But any of those would work because they're all coordinating colors. And also what would work is that Mint Macron. I just didn't cut any of those card bases. That one would be in the Subtles collection of our colors. And Misty Moonlight's in the In Color collection, and so is the Bumblebee is in one of the In Colors. Okay, so there you go. And now we're going to do a little something different with the one that we stamped onto the white one. So let's find this one that we stamped earlier, and we're going to get that silicone mat out. We're going to put some of the little wheat on there using Bumblebee. And I also want to say hello. And then we can, it's just going to kind of overlap. So we're still going to do the colors on this one, but they're going to touch. So here's the idea behind this one. I'm not sure where I'm putting the colors yet, so just for a second, bear with me. We're just putting them there as placeholders for a second. So you see how we have all this extra room when we don't put little gaps, and we have a piece of Whisper White now, or Basic White. So now we can do some little extra stamping with this little wheat behind it, and then we can attach it. So what I'm going for that look is the other card that has the stamps on it. We'll find it in a second, but let me say hi to who's here while I'm looking for that. Okay, so it's not this one. It is not that one. It's one that looks just like this, but with some... I will find it. Things disappear quickly on my table. Well, we're going for something like this. We're just going to add some wheat to our card. That's what we're going for. All right. And let me get my camera to stop drooping again, because it just keeps on drooping. There we go. This is what we're going for. That's the card I'm trying to make. Whew. All right. Hi, Lorna. Hi, Janet. Hi, Eileen. Hi, Jan from England. Hi, Glenda. Hi, Penny. Hi, Donna. Yes, Lorna's saying the magic of Stampin' Up! Coordinating colors. Hi, Pamela. All right, here we go. All right, I get a little frazzled. Everything keeps on, not frazzled, but just, I lose things constantly, and I don't know. So we're going to just use this one. I cut off the D a little bit earlier, so I just use this as my scrap paper. So what I'm trying to go for is, there it goes. I'm just making sure that oops. First of all, that's one of the reasons you want to stamp on your scrap paper, is to make sure that you're not stamping upside down. And I also want to do a little off stamping. So I'm going to kind of stamp off a little bit, right? And get these to go in the background. See, first I'll do that. I'm going to stamp off, stamp them in the background. Okay, good. Now what I want to do is maybe stamp. I'm going to put this down for a second. I'm going to get a little bit of those sticking up from the bottom. So I want to kind of go down to about there. So what I'm going to do is these I won't stamp off. I'll just sort of stamp right on. Let them sort of stick up. Okay, and then go for that kind of look. And then this one, we'll just do a couple upside down. Go for that kind of look. Okay, so that's kind of what I was going for. You're not gonna really see all that. Just a little bit of, here, a little extra something here. We'll do a couple sideways. Just a little extra something, just behind that. So now I'm gonna still put my designer series paper there. And now I'm gonna just put this, so I like putting this one at the bottom. For some reason, I've just been putting this Misty Moonlight at the bottom. I'm going to put this little script somewhere. We'll put the script at the top, and then we'll use one of these, and then we'll need another one. We don't want to use two of the same one. We could use two of the same one. Nothing wrong with using two of the same one. But we have all this pretty paper, so we may as well use different ones. Okay, so again, I'm starting at the top and the bottom, but this time I'm not leaving gaps. The reason I'm not leaving gaps is I want that little wheat or grain, or somebody who's a farmer can tell me if that's wheat. I'm pretty sure it's wheat, but hey. Honey, bunches of oats. See, that's about all I know about wheat and oats and the difference between them. I don't know anything, just from my cereal I eat. The box of Kellogg's. All right, so we need a piece of, I'm gonna go for it and get another piece of this one. I really like this one. This one is just so nice, this Calypso Coral one. So I'm just going to really quickly, you don't need to see me do that. It's 4 inches by 1 inch. That's the same size for all the stuff I've been working on, 4 inch by 1 inch. Okay. And all right, so let's see, we're going to put that one up there, I think. Well, it depends on now it's going to depend on what background I put that on. So I may end up putting this on a bumblebee background now, because that's a contrast for it. So let's see. Let's try the bumblebee background before we mount everything. And see, oh, I like it. I like how the bumblebee background is going to look. So now we can kind of, the reason I wanted to do that is did I want to use this piece of paper? I'm deciding, do I want to use this or do I want to use this, because I'm using a bumblebee background? But I think that's too much of the wheat going on there. Okay, so we're going to close. This is my bumblebee stamp. I'm closing that. So we're going to grab the adhesive. I like when it doesn't matter which way the paper goes. It only mattered for that script font, this one, but this one, the pattern goes both ways. For this one, the pattern goes both ways. I like that. I'm going to go for like that, though. I'm going to turn it that way. So I'm still doing simple stamping. Simple stamping just means ink and paper, and that's it. But when you want to step up stuff, you're going to use some bling. So we'll add bling to this one, because we've already stepped it up. You step it up by using more than one color of ink. But, if you just use one color of ink, you still got a pretty awesome card, I think. It shows you made effort. But if you use some extra bling, extra pearls and things, pearls, sequins, gems, then you have you're stepping up your card. Okay. So let's okay, it's mounted. We're going to get some of these. We're going to call them, these are the elegant faceted gems. The elegant faceted gems. Okay, let's see. If we're going to use the white one, I shouldn't have used the white one because it doesn't even contrast, right? We'll use these little gold ones. Yeah, that's a little bit better contrast. So we can go for the gold. Go for the gold like the Olympics here, right? Go. We're going for the gold too. We're going for the gold medal in crafting. Okay, we're going to put that up there. Okay, so now we add some bling and we stepped it up. Okay, now I'm going to show you some other ways to step up the cards. All right, so here we have our thank you we just made. Okay, now we can step it up by doing something like this with extra layers of designer series paper in the background. I have some other layers coming off the sides. Of course, I can add bling, but this is going to be my simple stamping card. I might go ahead and, since it's still my simple stamping card though, I'm going to be daring and add some wheat to it. And if I mess it up, I mess it up. Because simple stamping doesn't mean I can't add wheat to it. I can still add wheat to it. It just means you can't add bling to it if it's really simple, as far as the challenge goes with Stampin' Up. Cool. Okay, so I stepped that one up just by adding some other color. Okay, we have the gaps. And now here's what you can do. Here's what you can do with the thinking of you, and I'm going to show you how to step that up. So you take your dies, and the dies I'm using they're called like, what are they called? Hippo and Friends? I want to say Hippo and Friends dies. These little cool stitch frames. So I just did a thinking of you in Misty Moonlight, and I stepped this card up, and I'm going to mount it on something. We'll see what we mount it on. See what I'm saying is you can mount it on whatever you want. You can mount it on, you know, on the bumblebee would look good, right? So let's say this is our finished card. I'm still deciding what to mount things on. But I just want to explain that what I just showed you, you just learned how to do. And all I did for that, and I made another one, is you take your framelit. You just cut these out ahead of time. Or if you're trying to get it straight, you could actually cut it out. You could stamp it and then cut it out, because this isn't straight when I tried to stamp it onto the piece that was already cut out. Whereas if you stamp it onto a piece of paper and then lay the frame over it, you're more likely to get a straight cut. So what do I mean by that? I'm going to show you. We won't actually cut it out, but I do need to show you that. So I'm going to just take the Thinking of You stamp, and it's mounted on the back of my Happy Mail stamp, because my Happy Mail it took me a very long time to get this Happy Mail stamp straightened out, so I leave it mounted permanently on one of these Stampin' blocks that I got from one of the kits. See? I leave this mounted permanently because I put this on almost every envelope I send. So I just needed the back of that. So this stamping block, there's not a letter for it. It's just one of the stamping blocks that came in one of the kits. So what I want to do is the Thinking of You. I'm going to stamp onto a piece of paper to make sure that I got it. Onto my scrap paper before I stamp it onto my... Okay, it's stamping good, so now I'll stamp it onto here. Actually, I'm just going to put it up here for now. I can't die cut because the machine's not near me, but I just want to show you. So stamp it like that. Now, if you die cut afterwards, right, now you can center it better. Oops, that was not a good example. I should have put it in the middle. But that's what the other side of the paper's for. So something like that, right? And then if you're trying to get it centered, you want to die cut afterwards. See? That would have been more centered than, but I already had a bunch of these die cut ahead of time, so I stamped them onto it. I had a bunch cut, I stamped onto it, but then I got it a little crooked compared to if you die cut afterwards. Okay, so that's how to step up this card. That was step one. I'm just kind of teaching you how to step up the card because I'm not going to show you every bit of that. Okay, so because I want to just do this, I want to get to the other examples. But first I just need to explain to you how I did this card here. So what you do next is you're going to take your piece of, let me close this bumblebee so I don't get ink everywhere. So now we have the piece, you know how I made this. This is the Hippo and Friends dies. This is Bumblebee, that's Misty Moonlight. Okay, you saw me just make it. That's how I did it. This is a piece of lattice, and I adhered it behind here. Pop this up with dimensionals. The lattice is in the back of this annual catalog. You can get the lattice now. It's called paper lattice. It's awesome. You can use it for stencils. It's called paper lattice. It's in our annual catalog. And then what I used is this. embossing folder, which is also in our annual catalog. And it is called the Brick and Mortar 3D embossing folder. Okay, and then I use some Wink of Stella. I use Wink of Stella, which is the glitter, on the brick. So just those little touches take your card from being, you know, this is your thinking of you card, simple stamping, and then this is your thinking of you card with stepping it up, put it on a bumblebee background, and then look at the difference. Look at all that texture and dimension. It's no longer simple stamping because I'm embossing the background, I'm adding extra embellishments, and I can add some bling to it as well. And in that case, I could add the bling. Oops, this one. I used this as a stencil earlier, so it's a little, my paper lattice is getting a little weak. All right, so next I want to show you, I'm just going to show you my other examples of what you can make with this Thinking, Thanks, and Peace. This is going to blow you away, this piece on their stamp. So to get the piece on, I didn't have any stamping blocks with me that were big enough. So what I had to do is use my Stamparatus because it's such a huge stamp. The piece on their stamp. I was like, whoa, that's huge. Now it's not that we don't make stamping blocks. We do make stamping blocks big enough for those. I'm just going to get another piece of paper while I'm talking. We do make stamping blocks big enough for Peace on Earth. However, I just don't have them with me. And when you open up, whenever you look at a stamp set in the holiday catalog, which most of you have been sent, my customers have been sent these already if you're in the US, go ahead and open this. I don't remember what page this is on, Thinking, Thanks, and Peace. But if you open up your holiday catalog, which is called the August to December catalog, and you see this, it will recommend that says there's 4 stamps in here, and it'll tell you right on the page of the catalog which stamping blocks will fit. But you always can go, you never go wrong with the Stamparatus. Okay, you can never go wrong with the Stamparatus. So what I'm looking for right now is the bottom of my Stamparatus. Okay, here it is. Don't mind how dirty the bottom of my Stamparatus is, right? It's just a big old hot mess. Okay, let's just put that on there. So what I'm going to do is raise the camera a little bit so that this doesn't, point right into the camera. So what I'm doing is I'm opening up the Stamparatus, and I think I had some pencil marks there to try to get this paper straight. Yeah, something like that. See, I had the pencil marks there to tell me where to put this piece of basic white. So what I'm going to do, now whenever you might have to ink up something twice, what you want to do is adhere this a little bit. It's just a little bit to the background of your Stamparatus so it doesn't slip. Now I'm going to take real red. You are going to be blown away by how cool this piece on our stamp is. So real red, because I'm using the Christmas colors. And don't worry if it's not all inked up, because it doesn't matter, because you have a Stamparatus and the paper's not going to move and you can re-ink it. I don't think I need to re-ink it. Let me get my glasses and look real close. Oh, it came out beautiful. I don't even need to re-ink it. But if I did need to re-ink it, it's a Stamparatus, so it can go on. It'll go on straight. Okay, so let's just get rid of the Stamparatus for a moment, talk about some ways to step up this card, and show you some examples. So what you do next is you're going to take your Wink of Stella for the dove. Now don't get close to the dove. I mean to the red in the dove, because it'll smear. Unless you want to go for a pink dove. If you want to go for a pink dove, then go close to the edge. But I would say until it dries, you can go closer to the edge when it dries. But try to stay away from the edges when you use your Wink of Stella. So you can already see my ink is running. Well, it's okay if you have a pink dove, but you really want a white dove, a glittery white dove. So earlier when I did this, I had let my ink dry for a while. See, now it's definitely running, but that's cool. It's all good. You get the idea. So make your dove with Wink of Stella. Now I'm going to show you what you do with that card. So here's a dove that I've already colored with Wink of Stella, and here are the cards I made. Okay, here's one that I made, which I had made for my friend Annette, and I had it was a little off center. I didn't have the cinnamon cider long enough. Okay, and then what I did is I stepped it up. Okay, so you take your Peace on Earth and you step it up. Step it up with some of our new ribbon. Now, my new favorite ribbon right now, you can get this in the annual catalog. It's called the Black Glittered Organdy Ribbon, and now it's my favorite ribbon that's currently available. This ribbon is just as awesome, and these are both in my deluxe paper share, holiday paper share. I'm putting samples of these ribbons, just a yard or two of, I think it's a yard of each. I'm making it a small sample. Here's how I'm wrapping it up for you. It's going to be in the deluxe paper share because I have to have you guys try this. I really needed my customers to try this. You're going to be blown away by how cool this ribbon is. So just taking this little pieces of ribbon on your cards really steps it up. Okay, so here you go. So there's your card without the ribbon, and here's your card with the glittered organdy ribbon just wrapped around the back there. Shining and some bling and peace on earth, and the dove has the little 3D Wink of Stella in it for the dove. Okay, so there's another card that you can make with the thinking, thanks, and peace. And I just showed you how. Now, if you're wondering, what paper is she using, right? Well, again, the techniques that I'm teaching you, you can use any paper with, as long as you coordinate your colors. That's the important part. Use coordinating colors with Stampin' Up. This one happens to be called Gingerbread and Peppermint. And Gingerbread and Peppermint had a coordinating color of cinnamon cider, hence the cinnamon cider background. It also has a coordinating color of real red, hence the real red ink, right? Notice how I'm coordinating the colors. So Gingerbread and Peppermint is also available, you know, and see how I have a couple that I'm ready for? I'm ready to stamp this one, but I don't want to stamp too close to the edge because I'm not sure where I'm putting these paper. The only difference in the technique I just showed you is these are 1/2 inch strips instead of an inch strip. The ones I taught you earlier were inch strips, and these are 1/2 inch strips. But they could also be, like this one's a 1/4 inch because that's all I needed there. Depends on where your stamp lands. Gingerbread and Peppermint is so awesome, and I'm down to just a few scraps of it, but look at how cool this paper is. And it's already 6 by 6, which I love. I love that it's 6 by 6, and this will be available August 3rd, along with a whole suite of products. All right, ready for the Halloween card? I had to make a Halloween card because I had the word boo in the stamp. So who doesn't want to use that cute little boo? So I did a Halloween card using the Picture This Dies. And this is the final card I wanted to show you. You put the boo there into one of the circles. The Picture This Dies is a frame. Let's see if I have it. I think I have it all in here. Everything's not in the cases they're supposed to be in right now. But I put all my dies. I'm traveling, so I put all my dies in this one case. But this is what the Picture This Dies set is. It's just amazing. So it gives you a bunch of stitch circles or stitch rectangles. You cut the card base first, which I did. See, I just want you to see the stitching. You cut the card base yourself, which is 4, right? You're going to hear me say it over and over again. 4 by 5 1/4 inches. A2 cards, basic cards, A2 cards. 4 by 5 1/4. And then after that, I put this in it, and I put the boo in one of the circles that came out with the. I cut it in Whisper White, basic white. That's a basic white one. See, here's the piece. You just run it through, cut it, boom. You have an instant card. Now you repiece it together. You cut a bunch of these with Designer Series paper. They're all stitched, and you repiece them back together, and you have a cute little Halloween card. So this stamp set is really versatile. Like I said, I cut this so I could stamp it in different colors. So you could actually cut the dove off, but I don't recommend cutting the dove off because the dove needs to go with the piece on earth, I think, in my opinion. But if you want to put the dove somewhere else, you could cut it off. So you have 4 stamps, and don't cut the little ghost off the boo because he's too cute, right? But you have 1, 2, 3, 4 big stamps, but I cut it into 5, and you saw how I did that. So that's what the Thinking, Thanks, and Peace is all about. Finished saying hi to those that came in later. So, yep, I said hi to Pam and Tracy. Oh, yeah, Lorna, too. I like it, too. Thank you. Well, I just wanted to say thank you for coming on today in such short notice, and thank you for watching this simple Ink It Up video on how to make these really easy cards using Thinking, Thanks, and Peace and the Harvest Meadow Designer Series paper. As you can tell, you have lots of ways to take these cards and change them up later by just putting them onto different backgrounds. And you can do mass production on your cards by getting a lot of those pieces, those strips cut, the parts stamped, and then you can piece everything together later by making a bunch of these for yourself. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you'll give this a try, and I hope you'll take advantage of our Designer Series paper sale going on right now with 9 types of paper from our annual catalog. And those are going to help you do the technique I'm showing you right now. That's all for now. This is the Paper Chef. Have a great weekend.